Hi, I'm Elisabeth Marchini. Today's interview is with Saiah. If you watched my past two interviews, you may have noticed that both of my interviewees mentioned Saiah unprompted.
But Saiah is like, he's the freaking tactician of this game. I don't even know. He's like, his brain is a very interesting thing.
But like the people I look up to skill-wise, Hoot, D-Mob, John, Saiah.
If you've never heard of Saiah, in my completely biased opinion, he is the player I think you should get to know first. A savant of the game whose knowledge is matched by his skill.
Where's Warden?
Oh my god.
Massive bunny, massive bunny!
Oh my god.
Vin's 1 HP off the phone.
Warden?
So please grab your tea because this is a conversation with Saiah. Hey guys, it's Liz, really quickly. So this interview was recorded the Monday before Melee Creeps lost the floor man, losing that Deadlock Night Shift for the first time. So keep that in mind when you're watching this. This is a Saiah that does not know that that is going to happen. So and that's why none of the interview mentions that at all, and kind of looks like I'm pretending like it doesn't happen. So just keep that in mind when you're watching it. Hope maybe I can do a part 2 with Saiah. We could talk about it. Maybe a part 2 with Goober, John, whoever it may be. But yeah. All right, stay healthy, stay happy, y'all. Enjoy the interview. So my first question with everyone, I just kind of like to get a baseline, is I keep looking at the wrong camera, is just about their gaming experience and how they came to Deadlocks, whether that is like, you know, I started playing like Nintendogs and got here, or etc., whatever it may be, whatever your career is of how you got here. Just kind of let the audience know how you moved here and how you found yourself Saiah of Deadlock.
So the big thing is I definitely just played a lot of Garry's mod. That's kind of the thing. I just came from playing TTT and Darker P servers. And then before, I think, or after that was the fact that I was in a WoW Mythic raiding group. And my WoW Mythic raiders actually got their hands on an invite to Deadlock, and then they invited me. And then I basically just started playing the game since that. So
it was literally just by like chance they had an invite, and you're like, yeah, why not? Kind of thing. What was your first thought when you started playing Deadlock? Because I mean, WoW and Deadlock are massively different games.
Hayes was broken at the time. So she kind of, this was like old Hayes, where she like, it was basically a Reaper ult equivalent Hayes. And so, yeah, I mean, the game was definitely like very unbalanced, but it was also like very fun at the same time. Because, right, as fast as you were dying, people were also just dying at the same speed if you knew how to play your character correctly.
I mean, Hayes may have been broken, but like overall, like kind of entering the Deadlock world, did you think like, oh, this is gonna be fun? Or did it kind of like, something sparked like, oh, this is like more than fun. Like I really, really like this. I want to spend more time on this.
I think it was like, you know, I got stomped for probably like 200 hours, to be honest. I was like, I think I had fun just because of the fact that it was a new game and it wasn't like I was crashing or anything, or it was just a different, like, refreshing feel compared to every other game that's been coming out. It didn't really feel like a flavor of the month game that you play with your friends for a bit and then you just drop it and just, you know, let dust in your Steam inventory forever. So that's probably like the big thing for me is I really hate buying flavor of the month games. I like grinding out my games. I mean, most games in my Steam library right now, I have like over 100 hours at the very minimum.
Which are, can you explain? After you take your sip of water, of course, but what games do you have in your Steam library that you have that amount of time in?
I ain't gonna lie, there's like 100.
That's okay. I'm curious.
But, I mean, I can give you Garry's mod, for example. I have 5,000 hours on that. I have Counter-Strike, which I have 2.8k hours on. I got Black Ops 2, which I have 1,000 something plus. Dungeon Defenders, I have like 500 plus. Rust, I have like 500 plus. So I really like to just play out my games a lot more than just, oh, this looks cool. Oh, everybody want to buy it? Okay, let's buy it. Oh, that was fun for a day. Am I ready to look for a different game or what?
That's fair. I think a lot of people can relate to that in the audience. I'm curious about when did you get access to Deadlock?
I believe it was around, I think it's like around October-ish. I would have to look at my Wikipedia page, to be honest.
You would have to look at your Wikipedia. So you got access and then started competing quickly afterwards?
Yeah, I think it was like I only played for like 2 weeks and got invited to melee groups.
That is a remarkable thing, Saiah. Like, to be like 2 weeks
Yeah.
into a game and they're like, this one, we want this one. Like, I mean, because like my sibling has a story where like they were invited to FaZe Clan like years ago and they were like, no, that's dumb. You know, like I'm not going to do that. And I think I would be kind of similar. Like if someone invited me to a group or anything like that, especially being so new to a game, I'd probably be like, no, like I don't really, that's not really my thing. 2 weeks into a game, you say yes to melee creeps. Why?
I don't know. Just kind of seemed fun.
Is it,
I wanted to try it. That's
it's
about
literally
it.
just like, this could be fun. Like, why not? I'm like I can't be like, I'm not bothered to do it. So like, sure, why not?
I mean, you're still just playing the game.
That's true, but you're playing it. Would you say you're playing it at a different level than you were playing at before?
Definitely my current self. I definitely take it a little bit more serious. But probably when I first tried it, I was like, I just want to see how this goes and everything. And it sounds fun to hop on a comp scene since this game. I mean, the game is just so like unrefined compared to what it is now, right? There's just pixels everywhere, every like little shadows that just don't make sense. So yeah, but I mean the big thing is I got invited by a guy named SC, and I just played support for them, which I have played like basically every role in melee groups before. So I kind of just play whatever we need.
Yeah, I mean, there's a quote from, I think it was Scout, who said that besides him, you have the largest hero pool on the team that you both of you could just cover it all. Can you talk about the difference between the Saiah, obviously you take it a lot more seriously now, but the Saiah that started playing with melee creeps versus the Saiah now as a player, as like how do you approach it differently? How do you play differently? Obviously besides like skill, but I would assume you've gotten better. But do you find yourself being a more aggressive player? Do you find yourself seeing as someone who kind of sits and thinks about the game a lot?
So I would say probably compared to my old self, at that time I really wasn't in IGL. It was also like my first time playing comp, right? So there obviously it was fun, but I was very nervous because I didn't want to disappoint these guys that had faith in me to perform the role that I got for them. And then, learning more about just communicating more with the team and everything was definitely one of the big things that I need to learn. So, I mean, I like to just, stay a little low and just enjoy the game. I like gameplay more than just talking for an eon. So, but, now current me, I do IGL for our team. I make sure to be one of our leaders that helps just get everything going, get thoughts through the game, offering this, what we can do, just making sure everyone stays informed for melee creeps, and then, choosing really who's ahead of the game and who I can support to make sure that we can win our team fights the best.
I think it's interesting you say that because that's pretty much not verbatim, but it's very similar or like alludes to what John said about you. And that you're just kind of this like savant of this game, that you look at the patch notes, you're like, guys, I understand it all. I know exactly what we're gonna do. Which I think there are a lot of people who, in any professional environment in esports, they'll look at the patch notes, they'll have an idea, but they'll have to like think about it. They'll have to go into like server time, etc., and try and figure it out. But that doesn't seem like the case with you. It just kind of seems, from what people have spoken about you to me, is that you're just kind of this like golden god of or golden goose egg, if you will, of understanding. That's the dumbest show I could come up with. I'm so sorry. This insane person who just gets it as soon as they start playing the game, as soon as they see what needs to change. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say I probably have a really good basis, but I always do like because I have played so many different roles on the team. So I'll basically I'll load into a game just off of what I think is going to be strong and what's going to be weak, just based off those patch notes, and then I can tell my teammates, hey, this is strong, or this is like really weak, So for example, I'll just say this. I thought Drifter wouldn't have been that big of a change. It was a really big change. Drifter's actually really strong. So who's my Drifter player going to be? Well, you know, it's probably going to be like Dorian or Fishcake or something. So what I do is, because I don't play their role that much, I play this and like, wow, this is really good. So I know that they'll be able to perform that role better than me. And so then I know it's going to be like, it's going to be broken.
Like, to borrow the word again, like savant, like leader role. But that's also, maybe this is me projecting. It is me projecting. I'm just gonna say this straight up. That would put so much pressure on me, and I would be so terrified, because I mean, just to speak about me for a little bit, I have like stage managing background for theater, and like in a similar way, you have to know everything about this entire show, score to script to, you know, etc. And when there's a problem or there's a question, literally everyone in the building turns to you for a solution or turns to you for an explanation. And sometimes that can be incredibly overwhelming, or especially if you don't know the answer, if you don't feel comfortable enough giving, you know, whatever it may be. Do you feel that pressure, or is it something that just kind of comes naturally to you, and you, if there is any pressure, you welcome it? You're smiling a little bit.
I did do theater too, and I think when I first got on that stage, I think I forgot all my lines, and so I just started improving.
Yes, let's go!
Improving for like 10 minutes straight.
Wait, what show did you do that in?
I know we did I forgot, I was like playing like a drunk or something that, like, I don't know, something tragic happened to him, so he just drank every night, and, you know, he was just rude to people. So I forgot like what he said, but I started improving, and I was like, listen here, officer. I ain't going with you. You have no right to detain me.
That's a sign of a good actor, though. If you're like just there and you need to improv, sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles, and that's how you have to do it. Because I've been there many times.
Yeah, so I'm not really that worried about like not performing or anything. Mm-hmm. Because I do have like a backup plan.
And you don't have to answer this, but I'm curious. Has there been a time in your Melee Creeps professional career that you've been way off base and incredibly wrong? And no is a acceptable, totally, and that is a complete sentence answer.
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking. I mean, I've been on this team for 2 years. You know, I got a lot of things I gotta go through. I think someone offered a character in draft, and I was like, no, that doesn't make sense. We shouldn't prior it on the third. So like, right, you know, in Deadlock, there's the first wave bands at the start, and then there's the mid bands. So they wanted to prior this character before the mid bands. And so basically, I said no, I'll move it to 4, and they actually banned that character on the mid bands. And so that actually, I think this is when pick was super important and actually costed us the game.
So though I feel like that doesn't, if you're having to think about it, it doesn't seem like a common occurrence. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Savant title stays true. You are the first person I've spoken to after the giant balance patch that, you know, I hosted a tournament less than 24 hours after it was posted. And that was not fun having to go through that. I'm sure it was not fun for other players. I'm curious about what as someone who literally has to think about this every single week for DNS, your thoughts about that giant balance patch, because I think that, I mean, for me, there was like so much information to digest, but for you all, it's literally a difference between money and not money. So I'm curious to like what your thoughts were on Valve dropping that insane amount, I think 30,000 words.
No, it took me 30 minutes to read, so
my
I
bad.
was pretty good with
Took
it.
me an hour and a half. Okay.
Oh, okay. I would say it's pretty good, to be honest. Kind of the big thing about that is it's very weird because right now I think Rem and Graves are one of the weaker characters in the game, which those are the newer characters, right? So I think they may have messed up a little bit with that balance patch, because I think there's like 4 characters in my opinion that are just completely unplayable, because I mean they just got power crept, which that'd be just Mirage and Furnace, Ram and Graves. Those characters just need a little bit of love. But other than that, I think tone down McGinnis and Mo, and it would be a really solid patch. Like there's a bunch of really, really playable characters.
Mm-hmm. As a leader of it, when you read that patch note, were you surprised by the amount of changes, or was it just kind of like, this is what was needed? I'm glad Valve paid attention.
So I was actually coming home from working at the school, and they're like, "Hey, a patch dropped." And then I opened it, and then I was like, "Wait, how long does this keep on going?" Because I was trying to read on my phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make sure I can like start thinking about what I think is good and what is bad, and then it just basically turned into holy smokes, I'm gonna have to read this when I get home all of a sudden now.
That was what I think that was me too. I think I was out as well. You mentioned your job, and it's curious because when someone in the Melee Creeps Discord demanded I ask you what your job is and make sure that you brag about it and don't let you be humble about it. And I don't know really any Deadlock player personally whatsoever until I talk to them here. So I don't know if that is bait. I don't know what you do. So I'm just gonna lay that question out if you're comfortable answering it.
Yeah, so I coach middle school kids for esports.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah, so the little guppies get you get coaching from me, even though most of them are like, I just want to play Roblox, but yeah, I set up their little team formation and everything and schedule matches against other schools for them.
Do they know what you do as a professional player?
Yeah. They do know, and currently I used to show it on the screen, but we actually moved schools, so I got a whole different group of kids, but most of them, you know, they ask about tournaments and stuff like that. I just let them know.
Do they watch?
No.
No, dang. What games do you coach them in?
Apex, Fortnite, Rocket League, Tetris, StarCraft 2, because I actually unironically play StarCraft 2.
They play StarCraft 2? The kids?
Yeah.
Kids are
Minecraft. I think that's it. I think it's those 6 games.
That's so cool. That's like such a fulfilling, awesome thing to do. Like, how did you find yourself doing that?
It kind of just, you know, just like, hey, we need an esports coach for after school program. So my grandpa found that through someone, and then, you know, we just talked out through there.
I love that so much. As someone who helps her local school out, I think there's very few things that are more fulfilling than helping folks at school, especially when you're just like, it's something that you love as well. But is there any, this sounds so stupid, but like, I feel like some of the biggest life lessons I have learned have come from my kids, and like, especially because they're so young and so wise. Do you have anything that you've like taken from teaching those kids that you like apply to everyday life or even apply in the server?
Probably patience, I'll be honest. Listen, they can be so sweet sometimes, but I swear if they come in with a mood and a half, they are just gonna you think you're against them for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How often do you coach? Is it like once a week, or is it every day?
It's the entire weekday plus whatever school event is happening. So student holiday. Right now we're on spring break. So
with having won your 18th straight night shift, Florman got close last time. What are your thoughts about how and why Florman got close? Was there kind of oh, this is surprising when you were facing them? Do you think they've gotten better? Like, what are your thoughts overall on that 18th win?
So we weren't ready for the McGinnis pick, I'll be honest. We were ready to play the McGinnis, but we weren't ready to play against it because they prioritized it so low last time. So we were like, oh, cool, we could probably snatch it here on the 4 or 5, right? And then they actually just like first picked it, and we're like, okay, well that's not good. Probably why it was just a lot closer is because we weren't ready for that initial McGinnis pick, and then it was kind of now like we're adapting on the fly to it, which I mean it kind of just turned into just don't let them have their characters that can really like just take so much space.
Yeah, I mean, when I was listening to Goober's stream about the loss, he said that he like had never essentially played Sinclair before, and he was playing a character that he had no experience on. And so I think it's interesting you're talking about kind of how important these, I mean, obviously it's like in any game, it's in League, right? It's in Overwatch, how important your hero picks are, but it's so interesting because I think like when I look at you and your team and your hero pools, I see them as like as Scout said into EDL, like huge, especially you and Scout by yourselves. Like I think he said in the EDL interview, he's like you and him can cover your entire team for any like hero to play. Does that, having such a big pool, does that create decision paralysis, or is it just kind of, you know, there are characters you should be picking, so not really?
So I kind of just have like a general idea that I form whenever I'm picking characters. So characters that like are we playing fronts, just pure fronts, just run at them? Are we playing front to back? Are we playing dive? You know, so it really depends on who am I building this team comp around.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you say that because like you have a seem like what's a very structured way of thinking about the game and a structured way of playing it. Goober and John have both attributed to that in my interviews with them. They both have attributed BWC to being a team that just kind of runs at you and just goes for it. I love to hear your read on BWC as kind of this, you know, now no longer running with the clock, not bird with the clock, this team that I think is causing trouble when they do face people because of their play style.
So, I mean, the best thing I like about BWC is they do kind of just run at you. So either they'll win in like 20 minutes or they'll lose at like 30 minutes, you know? So that's just kind of the thing about them is they will go for these crazy plays where if these crazy plays work out, because you weren't expecting this crazy play, now your walker is being taken at like, you know, 9 minutes or something like that. And that's just kind of like the thing about BWC is just like they really do throw out the Hail Marys out there just constantly, and you're like, there's no reason for a Hail Mary right now. What's going on here? And then you know, but it's a Hail Mary while it's even, so it's like okay, well it works, and now they're like 10k up on you, and you know that's solely that they accumulate now. Now they're using that advantage that they got from that to just randomly throw another Hail Mary, and now if that works out, they're back at 20, you know, or they're at 20. But if it doesn't, now the game's even again. So that's kind of just the big thing about PWC is they will put you on this point where they like to play up in your face and everything, and if you don't expect that or something like that, you will just like you will lose a lot because of it's just not an expected way to play.
So you're saying an unexpected way to play. Goober described it as an incorrect way of playing, and he described the way you guys play as the correct way, and you inform it as the way you guys play as the correct way of playing. Do you think the way BWC play is incorrect, or it's just a different style?
Listen, at the end of the day, it's just whoever has the win, right?
To an extent, yeah, I would say.
It doesn't matter the way they play or anything like that. If they win like, you know, 2 games against us, they won. That's just how it is. So you can't really say there's a correct or incorrect play, especially whenever this game there's so much other aspects of this game compared to like a top-down MOBA.
Another thing I want to ask you about in kind of the DNS world is this hydronation return that we've had. And I'll ask you specifically about a quote from Rokane that he said in an interview with EDL. He said, "Melee Creep's run is extremely impressive. That team has some of the best talent in the game, but only time will tell how long will that last." If and when we meet Melee Creeps meets the kind of new reinvigorated hydronation in the future, how do you expect that to go?
Yeah, they're gonna get slammed.
They are getting slammed.
Oh yeah.
Why?
Probably
be
because
honest.
Hydronation just hasn't played in like a long time. They haven't been in the tournament scene for a very long time, and they've just been building up scrims. So I think it's going to take them a bit.
So you think the scrim, like while they will have scrim experience because they don't have like DNS experience, I think they have Freak Fest experience as of like very recently, but because they don't have like the DNS experience that you guys have playing every single week, being on top, that it's just, they will, if they want to pose a threat, they will have to take time, not to put words in your mouth, but they will have to take time to reach you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between scrim pressure and tournament pressure by a long shot.
The devil's advocate argument against that is, well, you guys just scrim each other, right? Like the Deadlock scene is very, very, especially in North America, is very, very, very small. And Goober has spoken, in my interview with Goober, he's spoken about how difficult it is to kind of like the kind of, when you're playing against the same people and over again, it can get quite difficult. If I'm remembering my interview with him correctly, does not offer them great practice against you, or does it, in your opinion, really come down to that like tournament environment?
We do have actually a scrim against them today.
Okay.
But I'm saying, like, I mean, the tournament environment does just matter. Right, a scrim, there's like, there's people watching you, but it's not like a tournament where there's like, I mean, it's like 10x people watching you, and you just know that every single pick in the draft matters a lot more. If you lose a scrim, it's whatever.
I feel silly even asking this to you, because everyone I've spoken to on my channel thus far, when I'm interviewing them, has mentioned you as like one of the best players, if not the best player in the scene, or just has talked about how incredible you are as a player. And again, I feel silly asking you this, but where do you see yourself in kind of the ladder, if you will, of players? And do you think you're the best at what you do? I feel like I ask everyone that, but like I do feel like it's also a silly question at the end of the day. Like, do you see yourself as the best at what you do?
I'd definitely say the best support player. I think the IGL has a lot more improvement that I could do itself, but definitely the support player is very, very where I think it helps our team succeed the most.
Where do you think you could improve in being an IGL specifically?
Just things that are like in my mind, I don't just like communicate it, but it's like for example, like you just gotta you gotta give the full steps. You can't be like, step 1, let's ult this, and then and then after be like, hey, whenever I like dynamo ulted them, why weren't you ready to combo up with them, right? Instead, you gotta be like, all right, I want to dynamo ult here, like this is where I want to use my ult at, instead of just, hey, I want to dynamo ult.
Who would you point to as being the other like comparable support players to you in Deadlock's professional scene?
Probably Zerbzy would be a really good support player right now. For the NA side. Division. But I don't think Division's played comp for a bit. I think he's been out for like a month. But I would say he's also another good support player. And then Gibbs. I'd probably say those 4 are like the only ones that actually like stand out to me as support players.
Being so dominant in Deadlock Night Shift, everyone kind of like expects you to be in the best of 3. Everyone looks to like, will it be BWC? Will it be Floorman? Who will it be? I'm curious, and like, is there pressure on you specifically to innovate and change and create something new? In the context of this, John said that like Floorman just like want to copy, or trying to copy you to keep it a buck. But I'm curious for you, like from your perspective, do you feel like you have to keep on innovating and have to keep on changing and have to keep on, becoming something new for the scene because of how competitive and how you are literally the only person to take down? Do you feel that pressure?
I'll just have like random ideas, that I'm like, okay, sounds good in my head. Let's just go practice this. It's not like I'm just like, okay, what can I do here, right? It's just kind of like that thing where it's like a shower thought or something where you're not doing anything, you're showering, right? So might as well use your brain for something else, and then you're like, whoa, all right, let me try this or something. It's just, and not only is that like something crazy, but it's like it also gives me like a reason to keep on getting on Deadlock, right? That's probably like the biggest thing for it, is just I'm not looking to always innovate, but I mean it just naturally happens as just something to do to really make sure that, because I mean burnout is a real thing, right? My biggest prevention way is just thinking about the game a lot more than playing it.
What would you say your ratio is for thinking to playing?
Probably like 40% playing, 60% thinking. Because I only stream for 16 hours, but Saturday, Sunday, I don't even touch the game.
So like you take weekends off?
Yeah, I definitely take weekends off.
Is that something you've developed over time to avoid burnout, or was that something you were close to being burnt out, so you had to do something about it?
Yeah, definitely to avoid burnout. I mean, I remember when we were scrimming like 5 days in a week. It was just constant, you know, don't have time for this, can't go hang out with this person, you know. Just you lose a lot of your social aspect, and it goes more into like the online social aspect. So that's just kind of like how we kind of prevent it is we just make sure we have weekends off, you know, do whatever. We can hang out as a team, or if we want to do something together, or you know, we have, I think it's Tuesday and Thursdays that we also have off.
It's interesting the way you're describing everything to me, because you said naturally, and it was funny because like you were echoing a thought in my mind listening to you. It seems like you're just a very instinctual player. Like you kind of, from what I'm hearing, everything you're saying about the way you think about the game, the way you play the game, the way you internalize the game, it's not effortless. Effortless is the wrong word, but it's not, I would say, is easy the right word? Just kind of, it seems easy for you, if I'm being honest.
I definitely wouldn't say easy, but I can agree with like it is just like an instinct thing. Because I mean, I do have that adaptability to me, where if I make a mistake, right? I have been playing this game for so long, so if I make a mistake or something like that, I'll make sure to like remember it and everything, and then it just won't happen again.
Yeah.
It might happen like 8 months or something later, but it ain't gonna happen anytime soon.
When you have a game that I think a lot of people look to you as an expert, and a lot of people look to you as someone who is just, you know, they go to you for, you know, advice, they go to you for, you know, whatever, maybe for gameplay, for etc. And as someone who just kind of comes very naturally to, right? It kind of seems like this is just kind of your shtick, if you will. I wonder if there's a boredom aspect to it. Like, do you ever feel like you're like, oh, I'm like, this is kind of like same old, I'm getting bored of this? Or do you find yourself always like completely invigorated and interested in this?
I wouldn't say I get bored of this game, just because of how much availability we have as free time, as like a team. I mean, I do stream this like 16 times or 16 hours throughout the weekdays, basically, or it's 20. I guess I can't do math, so there's a downfall. But I would say like at the very minimum, I'm required just by myself is like 20 hours in the game.
Where do you see yourself in terms of, you know, your craft? Do you see yourself at like you've almost perfected it, or do you feel like you have a lot more work to do? Because anytime I speak to players and I'm like, I genuinely think you're one of the best, I think you're great, etc. They're like, no, there's so much more work to do. No, there's so much more I could work on. When like objectively, as like a commentator and like as someone who looks at the game from the outside looking in, a lot of times these players are the best at what they do, and they just refuse to let themselves admit it. So I'm curious where you see yourself in kind of that aspect of it.
So, I mean, right, there's the big one, right? Like how you really use the character's abilities, right? Like that's just a big one to like understand, you know, just basic usage of your character. But when it comes to games like this, positioning is a really big thing that matters, right? So obviously you want to play with whoever your support is, but you also want to make sure that you can grab information for them and other stuff like that, which I think most of the time I have pretty good positioning. But I mean, there's been times I got caught out, right? That's just not what you want to happen. So ideally, you know, you just don't get caught out. So that's what I mean by like, it's just this constant like learning cycle of things, because one day, you know, this person's right here waiting on the high ground. Next thing, you know, now they're sitting behind you with an Abrams, but also waiting to charge you. So now you're like, okay, well, I messed up because I didn't clear this, right? So that's what I mean by like, yes, I would consider myself good, but there's just the minor things that just need to be flattened out and ironed out.
I'm curious, kind of moving a bit. I just hit my mic. Apologies to my editor. Love you, Enter. I think kind of moving into kind of the broader aspect of it, I'm very pleased to see, as like just like a fan of this game, how well the game is doing after the new, like the big updates have been, you know, especially considering how like it was being considered like a dead game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. With all of these new players coming in, what is your read on how the game will change because of them? Because Valve Valve has a job to cater to you, but also to cater to my ritualist ass. So like, I'm curious, as someone who knows the game so well and so intimately, how do you foresee the game changing in the future because of how big and diverse this player base has gotten in such a short amount of time as well?
I really don't know.
Neither do I. That's why I asked.
Yeah, I really don't know. It's Valve, right? Everything they're doing is just behind the doors. So I really don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, I think they're probably just gonna release like maybe a little bit more simple characters or something, because that, like, for example, Graves, which I mean, like, Graves sucks in Pro C, I'll be honest. But Graves is probably like good, lower down or something, right? She has, instead of having to be this Final Night thing, she has this giant AoE like thing, right?
Yeah, she's great down here. She's great down here in Ritualist lobby.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think that's how it'll be. I mean, like, you can look at Celeste and Apollo, right? These characters are very mechanical skill expression compared to a character like Graves or a character like Victor from one of the older, newer hero releases, right? So I think that's how they'll balance it out. Is they will make characters that are very easy to play, very simple, very good for, if you don't just have, like, you can just aim, point and click adventure on the mouse and it takes you time and everything. And then they'll release characters where it's like, okay, this character can move here, does a big burst damage, but you also got to aim at the same time, you got to now time their attack to hit this ability now. So I think that's kind of like how they'll just, keep the pro and the low ranks similar, is just simply by their character releases and their strength of simplicity.
Now that we've kind of come to obviously the end of this interview, my last question for you is, I asked this both of John and Goober, the Deadlock Esports scene is, while it has had a longer life, it's still technically in its infancy. It is very new. It isn't official. The game isn't even out of its alpha. Where do you see Deadlock Esports moving forward in the next few years, past official release of the game? And how do you see yourself fitting into it as a whole?
I think after a couple of years, I think that's whenever people really start to catch up to us, because there is that initial start of the fact that, I mean, you can't spawn in 3,000 hours all of a sudden after you just booted up the game, right? You might be able to take a little shortcut here that'd save you like 50 hours or something, but you're not going to be that far or like close to compared to the way that we play right now. So, but I would say probably after like 3 or 4 years, a lot more things will be like finite of you do this because this is just the most efficient or something like that, and then everyone will already be able to corner bounce off of just about anything, right? I mean, I have like okay corner bounce, like I can probably hit it like 70% of the time, but I'm not 80 or 90% corner bounce hits. So that's what I'm saying, is I just think it will just start the gap between of the amount of hours that we put in will probably get a lot smaller as just time goes on.
Do you think it'll be like a, league level player-based audience game, esport, or do you think it'll be more kind of an intimate audience? How do you see that? I
think it's going to be bigger than League.
Bigger than League?
Simply because it is Valve. Counter-Strike tournaments, still, by the way, that game is so old at this point. Still pull over like 100K viewers all the time. So it's not only is it going to have the Valve name, it's going to have initial hype from the fact that this is just a new game, which flavor of the month type of feeling for people is always a big thing. And then it's already a mix of the two biggest genres in the entire gaming industry, which is MMOs and FPS.
Simple as that.
Not MMOs, sorry, MOBAs.
MOBAs, yeah. I got you.
Yeah,
I know what you meant.
We were talking about MMOs in our call, trying to find one to play a little bit in free time as a team. So that's why I brought that up. But yeah, MOBA and FPS are like generally like the biggest categories that most gamers are in.
I know everyone's talking about how they bought a Switch 2 just to play Pokepia, whatever that game is. I will be buying a Switch 2 for a game, and it won't be Pokepia. It's that new Fire Emblem game. I love Fire Emblem. My background is Dimitri from Three Houses, pre-time skip and post-time skip. Spoiler. But I am obsessed with Fire Emblem. So that's where I'll be spending my money.